Let's talk about a quote from the Torch here. TNA President Dixie Carter responded to Vince McMahon's comments about TNA programming being reprehensible by pointing out what she believes to be reprehensible angles on WWE programming the last 3 weeks. Early last week, McMahon told the Hollywood Reporter he's not concerned about TNA as competition to his WWE business. His concern is TNA presenting some reprehensible content on Impact because they have a T14 rating. McMahon said TNA needs to, quote, get with the times and adopt a policy of PG rated television. TNA President Dixie Carter would shoot back that recent programming hasn't represented PG TV for WWE. Quote, I think it's wonderful that Vince watches TNA Impact, and I agree with him that things such as the brutal beating of a 60-year-old man, a vicious home invasion, and gratuitous man on woman violence can be seen as reprehensible, and that's just the last 3 Monday nights. Dude, Dixie Carter, when she wants to put on her PR hat, she's pretty badass.
She's very good. Has always, yeah. We've said it on here 1,000 times. That's how we originally came together. Just a skill set like none other. Sharp, crafty, can deliver it. She can write like no tomorrow. But isn't it ironic, don't you think, Alanis Morissette? It's the playbook that WWE, the analogy TNA and AEW, how they position. What was the word? Reprehensible?
Yes.
Oh, mercy. That's a strong one. But no, I get it.
Succotash.
But that's the way to put all positioning, all PR movement. They should be PG-13. Why should they? Oh, because we're that way. I get it. Good stuff, though.
We got to talk about the NASCAR Association. You guys have a NASCAR branded truck. You're going to be the primary sponsor in the truck series. And I'm sure there's some crossover between racing and wrestling, but is Dixie on board with this? I mean, I know you've got a bunch of ties to NASCAR. What do you think of this?
What? No, her and Hermie. So Hermie Sadler, longtime friend, met him and Elliott actually in Las Vegas, 94. And then that's how we started they brought a simulator to a WWE live event. Me and Hermie, we go way, way back. Just talked to him yesterday, but he was, man, I'll call it a friend of the promotion through and through. And there would be opportunities because he spent a lot of time. I don't know, 10, 12, 14 years with Fox Sports, commentating, but he had a long driving career. Elliott had a long driving career. Hermie would he would have different sponsors come to him and put together, want him to drive a truck. I don't know, 12, half a season, 12 races, whatever it may be. But when he in those opportunities, he would always bring us an opportunity, but he ran some of his own shows, but he ran quite a few TNA shows in the North, South Carolina, Virginia area. Just always a great friend of the promotion. And him and Dixie had have a good relationship. But he brought us an opportunity to sponsor the truck. We jumped at it. And, Dixie, again, on the PR side, the marketing side, she absolutely saw the crossover. There's a boatload of statistics that existed in the 90s and during this time. Be curious to kind of see. No, they're still there because NASCAR is going back the other way. They got their product had aged, but look, wrestling has aged from time to time. But at the very core, the consumers, they're there. I've always said that wrestling and racing have a massive amount, and I say NASCAR, not maybe Formula One and maybe not others, but NHRA. Some of those folks came out to Indianapolis last week, so there's a massive crossover in racing and wrestling, and we tried to capitalize on it as much as we could.
Let's mention that it's working, whatever you're doing here, because Impact on April 2nd does a 1.33 rating and 1.97 million viewers. So slightly below the record rating, but the actual viewers were the most in history. So much it actually beats the Ultimate Fighter and even the Ultimate Fight Night from the day before. It does a 1.3 in males 18 to 34, a 1.3 in males 35 to 49, both record setting numbers It's ranked number 2 on cable in adult males, only behind the NBA basketball games on TNT. It's a big deal, and Meltzer's pretty complimentary. He says, "This show has really turned around after hitting major depths not all that long ago. This show was better than all but a few WWE TV shows of the past few months. The angles are more focused, but the biggest difference is Mick Foley is really into it. When he teased dropping an elbow off the top of the cage on Sting a few times during the show and acted way off, he gave his character a necessary facelift to survive past being a short-term nostalgia act." Did you feel like you guys were really hitting your stride creatively too? I mean, Meltzer's got some high praise here.
Conrad, I did. And the reason, like I stated earlier in the pod, is that it was a time of reaping, if you will, the seasons of sowing that we really had in that. Going back, I guess this last weekend was an anniversary of the first time AJ became NWA champion. Me and him in the ring, or some anniversary I saw on X, not Twitter. But no, as far as just sowing the seeds of AJ and Samoa Joe and those guys that I had referenced earlier, and then the Main Event Mafia coming together. Kurt had been a part of the brand for a couple of years at this time. Kevin, Scott, Booker, just Sting, all the pieces of the puzzle really started rolling together. It was the time of year, the TV time of the year, lockdown coming up. Again, things just were gelling. I thought me and Mick were not the wild card, but I thought there was a lot of believability in, of course, our awareness, but the angst. I think the viewer could feel kind of our frustration, and of course, the heels playing their right, antagonist role, if you will. Baby faces playing their role. It all just worked together, and we were all playing extensions of our personality, and there was a lot of blending of the reality. I mean, people were very passionate about get those old guys off TV, get those old guys off TV, give the new guys an opportunity. And there's validity to that, but there's also a balance and a yin and a yang at that to get the young guys up and running and prominent. That's how the business has always worked. I mean, Lawler back in the territory days, or Dusty, or Eddie Graham, or the Von Erichs, or any territory was built around a hot babyface, and you just brought new heels in, build them up young, and keep moving. But you always kept underneath talent fresh and turned over. I don't call it a formula, but it is somewhat a simple formula on how to continue to create revenue in the industry. You kind of look at this last year's WrestleMania and look at the mix in that. My goodness. I mean, Cody ain't the new kid on the block, but his story and his journey, and pardon the pun on story, but just look at that. And then the Hollywood box office attraction coming back in, and it wrote itself in so many ways.